Welcome to the show. As always, I'm Frank on the right by Stocks. Joining us tonight, we're going to talk about Week 1, Stocks. There was some real surprising things, or maybe not so surprising, depending on how you look at it. A lot of quote-unquote bad teams or teams with bad records kind of showed up this week and, told everyone, hey, I drafted and put a pretty good team together. It's time you pay, dividends and time you pay attention to me a little bit. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, on that aspect, it was just the first 5 weeks of just really feeling out your team and, just playing with new toys and trying to get your identity, So
Yep.
it's not that bad of a problem if you start off slow.
We needed online practice mode, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would love that.
I'm not a natural Madden player, man, so I need that time to really practice with my team. And after even if you kept your team in, like the Giants, for instance, who doesn't really do a lot of moves, after progressions and draft picks, your teams get all jumbled up. There's no way to really simulate it without playing games. So you're right. A lot of people are still, trying out new things. Maybe trying out a new quarterback, like the Seattlers, I think. He's trying a new quarterback. So those are kind of hard to simulate. And like even, just playing friendlies with even sim guys, It's hard to practice things when you're that far in the season. So I'd love an online franchise, franchise practice mode. That'd be great. Shall we start with I shouldn't laugh, but the 49ers and me played. He was a new owner, and he left immediately after. I'm not even sure if we should really give him the time of day. I played that game straight up, Stocks. He quit. I personally think he was kind of mad that I beat him in the last seconds and kind of couldn't get over it, but it is what it is. I assure you I didn't do anything shady.
I don't think you know how to do anything shady, so...
If I did anything shady, it's been what I've been doing for the last, 6 or 7 years I've been in this league, so
yeah.
I think somebody would have called me out on it by now, but that was an exciting game, though. I'd like to talk about that, and you could probably help me because I don't want to be too unbiased to the game because I played it, but I think it was one of the most exciting games of the week. Winning by 1 point, the way it went down, it was just, I don't think you can get any better than that.
Well, in my aspect is every time I pull up your stats, and the first thing I actually go to is the Matthew Stafford's completion rate to attempts. That's the big key with him.
Yeah.
If you get him on a good roll and his completions are solid, you're bound to have good things happen with that team.
Well, without being, you don't even have to call me on bias on this. With this offense, I can score a lot of points, and I scored 35 points, which is probably like 80 to most people in this league, Stocks, because apparently people score ungodly amounts, but 35 to me is quite high being a defensive guy. So, yeah, I was happy with that. I got some weapons. Mike Williams, in his debut, he showed up, only 4 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, giving him away was very tough. It was sad to see him go, but I needed to change up some things and try something else. And I'm not shocked of what the numbers that he can put up for you. And like you said, when you have Calvin Johnson on one side and him on the other, you got a deadly 1-2 combo there. I mean, they're almost spitting images.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go around the war room of Detroit, Mike Williams will say I got a touchdown, but Calvin Johnson will say I caught the longest pass of the game, and it was a really crucial pass. So, that was great. Did you know there's kicker stats in XFN? They have kicker stats. Like they actually record stats for kickers. I know I was surprised too, but it told me.
I could see your guy scored 17 points.
Yeah, it told me I had like one of the highest kickers in the league for points and all this stuff, and I was like, okay.
52 yarder too from downtown.
Yeah, so that tells you how good this website really has been to us, especially for breaking down these games like we do weekly. They even keep track of kicker stats, so that's great. for I guess hardcore gamers like us.
I don't think guys want to hear about kickers.
No? Okay. Well, I'll go into another game then. The Rams, man. He quite honestly, he was a bit of a laughing stock to some. Now, I always thought the kid had tremendous upside. You know, we both do fantasy leagues, like, you know, where we draft and we do these things, and you always hear when you're drafting, you know, getting ready for fantasy football, these type of things, you heard these guys say, well, you draft this guy in a keeper league and he's got great upside, you know. In a few seasons, you know, he could be the starter in this situation or that situation. That's how I look at the Rams. You know, you can laugh at him or say his gameplay wasn't good. I think he didn't really have that good of a team.
Yeah, that's if you don't have a team, it's going to take you a couple seasons just to probably get on your feet. When you have the weapons that he didn't really have. So
He didn't have a wide receiver at all.
yeah, so who's he going to throw to?
So, well, I can tell you who he throws to now because I played him in week 2, and he's quite improved. But week 1, he looked really good. Week 1 still, Minnesota beat Green Bay in a divisional game, and even though it was week 1, that's still really huge. You know, I got a question for you, Stocks.
All right, shoot.
Being in the tough division that you are, would you rather play a division foe week 1?
No. So
No.
my week 1 and 2 division were teams were out of my division. They were an AFC team, so no, I don't mind the 2 losses because they're both AFC teams. They're both out of conferences. You know, nobody got hurt, so that's
Right.
that's the big part that I can come out with.
Yeah, I think it's really tough always starting out with the divisional game. I started last season, I played the Packers the first game of the season. It's very tough to do because, like we always go back to, you don't know the players. I mean, you're still filling out your rookies, you're still feeling out if you made a free agent splash. And even if you didn't, from season to season, there's always, you know, different things, progressions, these type of things. So, yeah, that's the tough thing. So, the Packers lose 24-45. Do you think it was because he needed to, figure out some things? Or do you think, the Vikings...
I just think maybe I just had a bad day. Maybe you didn't, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or whatever. It's just one of those days.
Right.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean, he put up some decent numbers, but again, we go back. You know how you say you look at Matthew Stafford's completions and his attempts and his yardage and all these things, and Stafford's kind of the engine that makes my team go?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers threw 6 interceptions.
Yeah, so then there you go. Maybe Manny was up the other night, he ate too many chicken wings, his fingers were too greasy or something, because that's not, you're not going to have that. That's not going to happen too often, so.
Right, and like you said, we talked about forget how good of a commissioner he is. You can figure that out with him being on the boards and just chat rooms and these type of things and how active he is. Forget that, he's a good player, and for him to lose 24-45, it also speaks to maybe like you said, woke up on the wrong side of the bed, forgot to comb his hair, maybe his girlfriend made him mad, whatever it had to be. But it also, the Vikings is a very good player, and I think it's not quite as bad as a loss, when you lose to the Vikings or you lose to really good teams. So that's that. But I want to go back to the Rams because, like I said, we don't usually talk about AFC. Plus, this guy didn't really get a lot of love a lot of times, anyways. So maybe he'll listen to our show more. I know he always did, but let's give him some love while we can. He did beat the Patriots.
Yes, he did.
So he didn't just
in decisive fashion too.
Yeah, he didn't just beat some candy cane. He went out and beat the upper. I'd say he was probably at least mid-level, gridiron gamer at least. I wouldn't say he's the Patriots is a Super Bowl contender by any means, but it wasn't like he just beat some lower ranked guys. So he deserves credit for that.
Yeah, in that aspect, like we said about our old podcast, we kind of give tips and kind of give a way of thinking of how to do things, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe open up some things. And I think maybe the Rams open up a can of Steven Jackson, because he went for 33 attempts for 153 yards rushing, and we broke it down to the Rams saying, yeah, you look at his roster, what do you need to do? You gotta
Mm-hmm.
feed the beast. You know what I mean? You gotta feed that beast, and he did.
Yep.
33 attempts. It doesn't matter the outcome of the score or whatever. If you start with a game plan with a Steven Jackson like that, you're taking the hands out of Sam Bradford just a little bit, so you don't have to put it all on his shoulders, and that's a good aspect for the Rams.
Very, very good. Unfortunately, we did play this week. He did lose Steven Jackson. So, as far as I know, there's some okay, decent, at least older running backs who I think he may be able to sign to plug in. Speak a minute to what Steven Jackson's loss does to this team.
It, it's bad. I mean, it's really bad. His backup running backs just aren't going to cut it. Felton and Elbron. I mean, these are two guys that they're just not. They're not known names. So yeah, maybe he does take a jump in the front office. Take a look at some free agents.
Ronnie Brown's out there. Willis McGahee's out there. Do you sign any of those guys? Javon Ringer, if you want to bring in. But I think at this point, if you're going to bring one of these guys, you bring in one of the older guys. You bring in Willis McGahee. He's going to ask for a lot less money than Javon Ringer would do. You don't need Ringer for many years. You got Steven Jackson, so.
Yeah, if you can find someone with the same body type and maybe the same, speed-wise, you don't take much of a hit.
Let me give you some names. I'll give you Willis McGahee, Ronnie Brown, Lawrence Maroney, or that's about it. Javon Ringer, maybe.
Yeah. You got Lendell White.
Lendell White, man. Pete Carroll might call him up, but I don't think the Rams will be calling him up anytime soon.
Yeah, so the Rams' best bet could probably be a Ronnie Brown or a Willis McGahee.
I would say McGahee just because he's going to be cheaper than Ronnie, I think.
Okay.
And he's still got stats. He's not, he's not great, but, I mean, come on, you can only, again, this is a guy off the free agency list, hasn't been signed. I think he was only given one carry last season. But he's obviously not as fast anymore. He's only 79 speed. His acceleration's only 80, so he's not gonna. But the Rams have got speed running backs. Aaron Brown, he's got small, very fast running backs who are very limited in what they can do. At least this guy will be able to take a hit. He's still got 98 stiff arm stocks.
Yeah, so that's solid. Just to fill in the gap for 5 weeks, you'd be all set.
Yeah. So I hope, you never want to see an injury, even though I did it and it's my team and I can say, oh, this guy's dangerous, don't run against my linebackers. It does create a kind of a mystique about your team, and that's good. I mean, it's good to say, oh, I got hard-hitting linebackers, so don't run against them. But in the same thing, you don't ever want to really hurt a guy or his team. Another team who didn't quite get a win, but might be surprising, is the Seattle Seahawks. He took Manny to the brink, man. Again, another team that people might have underestimated or not thought were very good. He's got the offensively, he's got the eighth best pass yards. So that rookie quarterback figured it out awful quick. He lost 34-31 to Manny in overtime.
And Marshawn Lynch, Marshawn Lynch doesn't get a lot of, I like him in real life.
The Candy Man.
Yeah, I really like him in real life. He would look really good in a Packers uniform. Not saying anything, but I would like that. but even in Madden, he's a beast. He really is. He's a beast.
Yep. I mean, there's no way around it. Again, he. You don't need speed, especially in this Madden. You need skill, and I think they did a really good job at getting the running backs who have speed to be speedy. But you can also use the power back in this year's Madden. In previous years, the power back was kind of definitely not as valued as highly as you know name a speedy back, Chris Johnson, those type of guys. They were much highly more rated in previous years when speed was everything. I think they got the power back down this year, and Marshawn Lynch is a monster, really.
Well, I think in the Madden aspect of it, not the real life, but I think the speed backs are still the speed backs, and they still have that same explosive speed. But what happens is I think the linebackers actually have a better angle of attack. Where I remember back in the other days, Chris Johnson would hit the hole and he would just be going. You couldn't come within a centimeter of him.
Yeah, so
that's huge.
Yeah, it's nice to see. And talking about, we talk about motorboats. I think we're gonna have to revive that clip sometime soon because Marshawn Lynch, like you were saying, in real life, man, it doesn't matter. He got 32 carries, 118 yards, and a touchdown. Now you say, oh, he was only averaging 3 yards a carry. He was slamming it into somebody 32 times. That tires out your defense. That the linebackers don't want to go up against a guy, slamming into him 32 times.
Yeah.
And he's that kind of back. He really is. He's that, I'm gonna hit you and hit you hard kind of Mack truck identity. So yeah.
There was actually a Denarius Hayward Bay sighting in this game.
Hayward Bay.
I'm pretty familiar with him because I had him.
Yep.
For last year's Madden 11, and everybody's always wanted to trade him. Everybody's wanted him on my team because he had a 99 speed, and he was this super fast guy and could catch bombs. He went for 4 receptions for 108 yards and 1 touchdown. So Seahawks must be pretty happy with that guy.
Yeah, and surprisingly or not, I guess Miller's got some moves. He caught a touchdown for 79 yards. I think in the first quarter he caught that bomb. So yeah, the first quarter, Zach Miller for a 79-yard touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm. And on the Packers side, Jacob Tammy's Aaron Rodgers' new tight end put up a good six receptions for $169.
Yeah. Well, when you got tight ends like you have, and Tammy might be in that selection, I prefer not to call them tight ends. Just call them receivers. I mean, this guy, we talk about Miller putting, a touchdown for 30 or for 79 yards. That just seems, I'm tongue-tied a little bit because a tight end catching a bomb like that, that's kind of the new thing in real life even, and I guess that's a new thing in Madden. It being an old school guy, it's kind of weird to me still. But yeah, Tammy caught a ball for 73 yards. Had 169 yards altogether. What really hurts the Packers though? He lost this sales guy that he was expecting to do big things. He lost him for a few weeks. Not only his impact, let's say he caught a few more touchdowns. He only had three touches and 124 yards. So he was catching, the touchdown. When you're trying to, obviously Manny likes him, otherwise he wouldn't have went to him and trusted him with a 68-yard bomb and all these things. But when you're trying to make new pieces fit, these injuries really hurt, don't they?
Oh yeah, because you have this vision in your mind, and once it gets thrown off, it's kind of like the ship gets derailed and you kind of get lost.
Yep. He also has Starks out for 5 weeks.
That's huge.
So that's huge too. We talked a lot about the Colts got a big win. The Seahawks almost got a win. The Rams looked impressive. We talked about all these bad teams, or quote unquote bad teams, but yet there's still some dominoes really fighting and proving that they belong at the top. Pittsburgh Steelers win 24-6. I can tell you what that was without even looking at the stats. That running back tore it up all game long. Now I got a question though. Going San Diego, Oakland Raiders. Is Oakland back?
Yeah, because in week 1 they put up 52 points and beat a good Falcons team. So yeah, I think they're back. I think they found their niche.
Okay, we'll see. I'm not sold.
Okay.
But this guy, he's very streaky, and I think he kind of likes that. I think he owns that. He owns that.
Streaky can be good sometimes because if you get hot at the right time,
Yeah.
I think that's just like the real Giants in real life. I don't think they're a great team, but they find a way to get hot at the right time. And
Yeah.
that's what you want. You don't want to peak right now. Why do you want to peak in the beginning of the year? You want to peak at the end of the year.
It's true. That's what I was just getting to. I think he embraces the mentality. I'm that streaky team that everyone thinks I'm going to be up and down, up and down. All he needs that roller coaster to do is start, free falling and getting into that mojo at the right time. He doesn't care how long it takes him to climb to the top of the mountain. It's all about how fast. Some people, they want to jet up there. They want to get their race car going. He's kind of that guy who put on his horseshoe or snowshoes really slow. Tie his boots really slow. But when it counts, he gets there. I think there's something to be said for that philosophy. Now, looking over some things, I looked at the stats the first week, and it looked like the Texans only had one tackle with Justin Durant. I'll look at it again to see. I think he's played week 2. We know he's not going to be worth the contract. If you listen to the interview, which I'm not sure you have yet, Stocks, if you haven't had the time, he said that he didn't even think that, he basically said he didn't think that Durant could live up to that contract. He wanted that guy, so he went out and got him. It was more, I had to give him this much money for security reasons because I wanted him. He doesn't expect him to, you're paying, that's high for any linebacker. You're paying him at the very least, Willis numbers, stuff like that. So he told me he didn't really expect that because if he was going to cut him next season, he's only going to have to pay like $1 million or $2 million, something like that. So when you really look at it, he was basically telling me that the investment's not as bad as it looks. That being said, when you tie that much into a guy, even for one season, you want him to produce. I'm looking up his numbers now. Yeah, he only played one game so far. That's recorded in the website. 1 tackle.
Yeah,
that's
gonna hurt in a way because you have all these aspects for this guy because you wanted him so bad that you're willing to take a hit for a future year. You know what I mean? Yeah, we have 2 seasons left. Putting eggs all in one basket for a type of player like that is risky.
Yeah, let's just take the contract out of it. Let's say he paid, $2 million. He won the bid, let's say. Forget how much he paid. You want a guy, when you pay him, excuse me, when you win a bid on a guy, you want him to produce. 1 tackle, even for a guy who I signed for $1 million or $2 million is not good enough, He's obviously a starter quality. Let's look at his best year, even his worst year with me. He had 34 tackles, 1 interception. That's average linebacker. His best year, he had 62 tackles, 6 sacks, 3 interceptions. He's definitely a starting linebacker in my opinion. So for him to have 1 tackle is not good. I mean, even if, like I said, I think the cut-in would be like almost $2 million. So don't be fooled by the contract, but still, you'd expect more out of him. A game, well, during the season, when you talked about peaking, when do you think you should peak as a team? When do you think you kind of start playing?
mid-year is a good,
Yeah.
mid-year is you need to start being able to play well, because if you're not playing well by mid-year, you're looking to scrap at the end
Yep.
to get into the playoffs, because let's just face it, anybody that gets in the playoffs can win the whole thing. So I don't really care about the 1 week bye or whatever. I just want to get in. So by mid-season, if I'm not playing well, then it's time to stop worrying.
The bid kind of hurt. The bye kind of hurts, doesn't it?
Um,
Or do you kind of like that?
it depends on injury-wise. I look at it as the injury-wise. If my injuries are high, if I have a high injury,
Mm-hmm.
I got 3 or 4 guys. Yeah, that bye can't come soon enough. Just to get them back on the field. But yeah, like you said, if you're playing well, you don't want that bye. So it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I agree with all that, and I think you're right on. Some teams a bye really works. Like a Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think a bye is going to hurt him. He's been there, he's done that. For the experienced guys that know what the playoffs is about, who done it, no problem. I think being in the wild card though, when you're a new team, maybe a team that's not used to it or doesn't go every year, that's kind of a good thing, I think, because then you're just playing your game. You're not really thinking about it. You're not thinking about the consequences of this or that. Defensive player of the week in week 1 was Peppers. 6 tackles, 5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. And it was against Manny, so...
And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that trade a very easy trade?
Well, you talking about when he went from the Bears to the Vikings?
Yes.
I know he gave up, Allen and I think a first round pick, and but everyone was like, well, those guys are very similar. You're getting Peppers, but you're giving up Allen. Obviously, this guy knows what he's doing in the Peppers because he's played well last season. And he came out and had 6 tackles and 5 sacks and 1 forced fumble against Manny. So I'm surprised he didn't have an interception with those numbers. But, I mean, I just find that crazy. And another thing, McFadden had a great year when Oakland won the playoffs. When Oakland won the Super Bowl, and made it to the playoffs with that lackluster team, if you will. Wasn't much talent on it. McFadden was the reason. McFadden this week had almost 300 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns, 1 catch for 11 yards, and a touchdown. He had 5 touchdowns in 1 week. Now, if you're right, and Oakland is back, he's going to need McFadden to play well, correct?
Oh yeah, McFadden's he's the captain of that ship.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's like that. He's that engine that makes that car go. And he doesn't have to have the shiny car or any kind of thing like that. I've asked all the people we've interviewed, is it fun to play AFC guys, us both being from the North? Is it fun to play opposite divisions? Or is it kind of just a pain?
Well, in my case, it was a pain because I got beat both, but it gives you that different perspective of how they play over there, and I guess it's a good thing,
Yeah, I'd say so. And the game that kind of made me think of that was Chicago Bears and Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville loses 33-38.
Is that week 2?
That's week 1. Or week 2, yeah, sorry, my fault. But the reason I wanted to talk about the Bears is you pull it up and you look at the stats of the game. He traded for Michael Crabtree. We replaced the owner of the 49ers already, and he got Crabtree. And so, what was it? The first season, the Bears played really well.
Yeah.
And then kind of everyone he came out with that 4-6. He was, everyone was, oh my God, what do I do? He was a mess to play. I mean, not a mess for his sake, but he made your offense look like a mess. I mean, he was just flying guys everywhere. Guys were coming from anywhere. And then season 2, everyone kind of figured out, I think, how to play. Either he threw quicker, he had max protection here, he had, guys were picking up his disguises, at least, I think, a lot better. This year, I think he's changing it up again. He goes out and he gets Michael Crabtree. And so we can look at this game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, what does Crabtree do for the Bears, you think?
It definitely helps out Jay Cutler because Jay Cutler needs weapons,
Yeah.
In this game, Cutler went 21 of 37 for 417 yards. Running back Brooks, 30 rushes for 123. So it's definitely going to give that balanced look to the Bears. And with that, he's definitely going in a different perspective with trading Peppers. I was actually very shocked to see that happen, but just like me, sometimes change is good.
Yep. You don't think Allen's the same type of player?
They're similar in ways, but I don't know.
You like the explosiveness of Peppers.
Yeah.
I think Allen's more savvy, but Peppers is definitely more athletic.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So Allen has to think, has to really read the play kind of thing, where Peppers can just go out there and be an athlete. I mean, not saying he doesn't read a play, but he can just go out there and affect plays. He's picked off a ball from a DN position, just pure jump, man. I've seen it in this game, in real life. He's got, as big as he is, he's got tremendous skill as far as just athletically. So, a team who's kind of the bottom feeder, if you will. I almost feel insulted calling these guys a bottom feeder now and then looking at some of these scores. But Tampa Bay in week 2 lost to the Broncos, who everyone was picking maybe for a Super Bowl appearance. He lost to the Broncos by 3 points.
Yeah, that was a very looks like a good low-scoring, tough, battle back and forth.
Yeah.
Tebow, 348 yards. So there's your Tebow coming alive this year.
Well, he does very well with Tebow. He really does. I think you mentioned it. I think Tim Tebow managed this game. He managed it just enough, and he ended up winning the game. Does Tampa scare you in the division more than the Panthers?
I think both of them are well-balanced teams.
Yep.
If I was to give the edge, I'd give it to the Panthers. I've always been on the Panthers bandwagon since last year. But yeah, they're both tough teams. I mean, they're just, either way you look at it, they're going to give a run for my money, so I have to bring my A game.
Now, people have been preaching, we want a season preview. We want a season preview from you guys. But I'll be completely honest, if you haven't checked it out, go to XFN and find JR's, he's the Bengals owner. He did a nice write-up of every team, AFC, NFC. And really, that's pure gold. I mean, we can talk about it, and we will talk about it. The Texans offered his services for a couple podcasts, maybe even to become a regular. So we will do a season preview. That's kind of what got us on the map. Me and Stocks haven't forgot that.
Yeah, we were just winging it.
Right. We'll wing it again, and we'll do all that again, and we'll break every team down. But I really think before we do that, Stocks, we need an AFC voice.
Yes, we miss Alex very deeply. He has his own, he's very busy, whatever. But yeah, if we can get even a different guy, you can have them both on. That would be just fantastic.
So I promise this season preview will be coming, even if me and Stocks have to pretend like we're from the AFC. By next week, if I don't have it together, an AFC preview, NFC preview, video style will happen. But
we got no football Sundays.
Yeah, we'll definitely have more time to do more of these things. So, I mean, it'll be coming. But, like I said, I don't even know if Stocks has checked it out yet. I might be giving him some tidbits of information. But JR, the Bengals owner, has done a great write-up of every team. Draft needs, outlooks of, their teams. And he really did his homework in this, and he spent a lot of time at it. So if anyone wants to send him some muscle relaxers, because I'm sure his fingers are quite hurting from that keyboard. So it'd probably be well appreciated. So we'll get to that. Another thing I thought would be kind of cool, because for some reason we got people wanting to come on the show now, which is exciting. I guess we can kind of let the beans out of the pot, if you will. We did an interview that will be posted this week with the Jets from the AFC. We had the interview with the Texans. He maybe wants to become a regular. The Jets is interested in coming back. Alex says he can come back as long as we let him know of a time, because he needs a more scheduled kind of format at least. So, and Manny says he'll come back. What I was thinking, Stocks, why don't we do a AFC versus NFC? We always hear about how the AFC is better and the NFC is better, and you know these guys clash in the chat boards. Why don't we bring it to life on this thing one time?
That would be awesome.
I'm thinking maybe next week, like Friday, something. So, because like we said, we talked to the Jets, and you know I'll post that thing that we can kind of let the cat out of the bag, if you will. But the problem with the AFC is there's a lot of guys that are overseas, so it has to be a very kind of organized thing. So let me and Stocks talk about that off the air, and we'll get it together. But we can kind of preview that, if you will. Who do you think is the better conference? Exactly. That's why we need to have a show right there.
The thing is it's probably in the same realm, because last year we had an AFC team win. This year we had the NFC win.
Yep.
The AFC won last year and the NFC won this year. So it's a toss-up, you know what I mean? The way you look at it, it's 50-50 right now.
Yeah. Well, everyone says, well, you guys got, you know, had luck, or the AFC, they had the Raiders, wasn't very talented, he kind of sneaked in. Every team, no matter what it is, all sports, no matter where, it always comes back to the end result. One Super Bowl ring for the Giants, who's in the NFC, one Super Bowl ring for the Raiders in the AFC. All the rest of it, you know, how they did against the AFC or how the NFC did here or there, it doesn't really matter. One Super Bowl ring is how I judge everything, man. So I will say though, the NFC does have a better record against the AFC in both years. So
okay.
If we were going to throw out some trash talk for our division, there it would be. I think, however, that the AFC is more. I think they're more top heavy. They got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They definitely had the best division with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Browns, who doesn't get much attention, but let me tell you, the Browns have been really building. Tony Romo, we've talked about these type of things. They have the toughest division. They probably have like clear on favorites, but I will say I think the NFC has more divided diversity as much as talent. We have anyone from the NFC could really win it. Everyone always says the Giants really dominates. Yes, he does go 0-6. He went 16-0 last season, but a lot of those games were close. A lot of those games go either way. And the truth is, not every NFC team gets to play the Giants every year, so you got to keep that in mind as well. I think we have more talent across the board, where the AFC is more top heavy.
That sounds good. I definitely agree with that.
So, yeah, we'll do some things. I'm excited, Stocks. People are actually excited about being on our show, and we kind of got to credit that to the Texans, to be completely honest. He broke the seal. Now, Manny will say he broke the seal. He was the first guy on, but of course, you're the boss. You're supposed to do it all. You don't get credit for these little things like this, you know. You're the top man. It's the truth, though. But I mean, yeah. So I'm just excited someone wants to come. I don't care who it is, who was the first, who was the last. I'm just excited we got people interested in the show. Because I'll tell you what, after doing these shows for about the hour, we have to plug on and talk about everyone. Because if you haven't noticed, Docs, people are paying attention to the show more and more. We get one guy and he likes it, so he listens to next week. And before you know it, we got 56 minutes, and we haven't even talked about half the teams in the league that listen to this show. So I want to apologize to those teams we don't get to, but me and Stocks need a drink of water, a dose of real life now and then. So we can't get to everyone all the time, but we'll try. We really will try.
And I think an aspect as we shows, we all actually, the more we look at the stats, that, we get a sense of really how the AFC is broken down.
Yeah. Well, I think if you're gonna ask any NFC guy to be unbiased about the AFC, I think we're the guys to do it because we see the stats. I mean, as silly as many times as I say and have these little lapses or Stocks mispronounces a word, you really have to diagnose these stats sometimes. You really have to have a game plan when you do these shows. So if anyone's kind of unbiased or, kind of going to look at it with a fair eye, if you will. But that's why it's cool because we got other people wanting to come into the show and give us a kind of a fresh perspective because we've been doing this for what now, 2 seasons almost?
Yeah, and I'm always interested in how they break down my team or an NFC team that I play.
Right.
You know.
You got any questions for me? Anything you want to throw out to anyone? The listeners are definitely listening and now, so we're not just talking to ourselves, so that's good, but it also brings some pressure, so.
Yeah, I actually, going back to Manny, Manny's always intrigued me as now that this is our second year.
Like most Italians do, by the way.
That he's very active with his team, and he's not sticking with the glue of his team. It seems like after each season he's really reorganizing and reshifting his team, and I was just wondering, do you think he jumps the gun too easily, or is it just something he sees, you think, in somebody?
I'll tell you this about Manny. I know he's very passionate, so whatever he thinks is the way he's going to think. And you got to respect the guy for that. But these trades might catch up to him. Might catch up to him for the better, and they might catch up to him for the worst. I don't think I would have traded Greg Jennings.
No.
I don't think I would have done that.
No, I wouldn't. So that's I guess I get kind of like, I traded Mike Williams, but I got a first-round pick. He's trading a top wide receiver for.
He would say he got a first-round pick too because he was taken in the first round. However, I don't think Manny knows what he wants to be. I don't think he's ever figured it out. He wants to be rushing. He wants to be defense. He wants to be offense. Obviously, the truth is you want a little bit of everything always. And you want to be the best at everything you do, but the truth is you can't always be that. Where does Manny lay his hat at the end of the day? Is it on Aaron Rodgers in the pass game? Because Aaron Rodgers can't run as a running back. I mean, he can run as a quarterback, but you have to either give that quarterback the ball to make decisions, or you have to give it to the running back and have that great offensive line.
He's taken a lot of chances in the last game against the Vikings. 5 rushing attempts of 74 yards.
Well, the left tackle he did get for Greg Jennings, and I think there was some picks involved, but especially for this season and for the relevance of this conversation, it really comes down to that left tackle, that first-round left tackle, versus Greg Jennings. So what really hurts, and I think we'll have to wait on this, Docs, is the left tackle that he got. He'll do great things, but James Starks is injured for 5 weeks now. I think I told you.
And in that case, trading, Greg Jennings, Jordy Nelson fits into that number 1 slot. I don't know if he can be that number 1.
Well, again, he probably wanted Sales to take over for Greg Jennings, but Sales got injured, for like 4 weeks. So he's had some injuries, and that's going to hamper it. But that's kind of the thing. You want to keep that depth, And I really do think that left tackle is probably the best left tackle in the draft. So maybe it can protect Aaron Rodgers at times too. Let me look up his stats. If you go to his roster and you go to the bottom of his page, he's the guy there. He's the last guy in his roster page. First thing that shoots out at me, though, he's allowed 2 sacks so far. I mean, he's got great run strength. He's He got, he's got great strength overall.
Not really. He's only got 85 strength.
No, but I mean, once he's locked onto a block, his run block strength is 97.
Okay, so I think that's just pure strength.
No. His impact blocking's 89, so that's going and getting you and kind of locking onto you. He's more of a running left tackle, though. I mean, he's complete. Don't get me wrong. He has pass block, but he doesn't. He's got great strength, I say, but he doesn't got great footwork. Though he does have great impact blocking. I'm not an offensive lineman genius at any means. I really honestly don't know what they do in Madden. I mean, I know what they're supposed to do. I'm just not sure how good a good left tackle is in Madden. It's always been debated. I'm really not 100% sure what they do. I traded for one, Matt Light. I hope the highly rated, really good run blocking, pass blocking, that really affects things. I'm just not, I don't know if it does. Because no one's ever, there's not a stat you can judge and say, oh, this guy's a great, offensive. There's not a difference, I don't think. Maybe there is. I haven't seen it. So hopefully that works out for him, but it's going to be hard to judge because Starks is injured for, 5 weeks or whatever. And it hurts because the running back he has, Flanning, he's been as wonderful as he is, as great as many yards as he averages. He's not an every down back. We've talked about it. His injury rating is too high to be an every down back. So what does Manny do now? I'll tell you what Manny does now. He plays me and gets killed. I don't know, obviously, if he gets killed or not, but I hope that's what happens. No, in all honesty, though, I think Manny's all right. I just think Manny, slow down on the trades, man. Not that interview trades were horrible, maybe the Eagles trade, but I think you're trading too quick, too much. Talking about trading too much, would you have traded DeMarcus Ware for 2 first-round picks, which I think it was?
Yeah, I think I would have because I think he's a good linebacker, but in Madden you never really see his eye-popping stats. You know what I mean? You never really.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. So yeah, I think I would have done that deal in his case because I think Dallas needs to rebuild maybe, or he's still trying to rebuild, and you can get a lot for that type of player.
Yep, and I'm gonna go verify that right now so I can be sure what that was. Okay, DeMarcus Ware for the Patriots first and the Houston Texans first, which the Patriots acquired. So 2 first-round picks for DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, so that's a great. I mean, he's gonna love the draft next year.
Yeah, and from all my scouting indications, if you will, the draft is really solid next year. Really solid. Now, the Seahawks made a trade just mainly for picks, I see. No big deal. There's no real big trade popping out at me at the moment. Brian Urlacher for the first rounder that we knew. But we've talked about that one. See, I'm just going through these things to make sure we haven't missed any big news. I don't see any. I mean, these things could come back and mean a lot. I will say that the Bengals brought back Jonathan Joseph to the jungle. So we'll see. Back with Leon Hall and Jonathan Joseph. That should be interesting. I don't think we're really missing anything. Oh my, there was a slew of trades. It was the Patriots traded Spikes, Sean Ellis, Rob Gronkowski, a 6th-round pick and a 5th-round pick for, I repeat, to the Houston Texans, of course. He always loves those trades. He traded Johnson, the linebacker, 86 overall, Derek Johnson. He traded a 75 overall corner. He traded Bowers, the left end, Daquan Bowers, and Bledsoe, the tight end, and a 1st-round pick. That's a lot to digest.
Yeah, it is. We'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that one. Luckily that one was the last one on the page because I can I can kind of sit back and really dissect that one. But those were the big moves and shifts and all of it. Now, let me ask you, because we have about 5 minutes left, but not much time. But I did the interview with the Texans. He explained everything, why he does what he does.
Okay.
Would you? I know you're not that type of owner, so it's going to take you a little bit to get in that mindset. Do you think it's a bad thing he's that type of owner?
If the only way I can think in the type of owner he is that I would be is you know the type of player you want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could break it down for, like, let's say you're going into the supermarket, you're looking for a specific type of orange juice, but when you go to the shelf, you got 4 or 5 different brands, but you still have 3 or 4 different types. Do you want home grove? Do you want the gritty kind? Do you want the ones with the chunks floating in? You know what I mean? So I guess maybe that's where he's coming from. That he's moving and shifting around players because he doesn't know specifically what type of player he wants. I guess, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like a speed date. You know what I mean? You go on a speed date.
Yeah, I think
Something like that,
I think you're right on with that, and the orange juice comparison. Great work there. Everyone should hit the rewind button and listen to that a few times because I think you summed it up great. I think what it is he gets bored, and there's guys like that in real life. I was doing the interview and I was trying to be fair with him and could be completely honest with him in other parts of it. He's kind of what reminds me of the Washington Redskins. The Washington Redskins have never been phenomenally great, never been one to really build a foundation. They see a player, they pay a bunch of money. Albert Hainsworth.
I know exactly where you're going with this because it's going to come up because of the Peyton Manning aspect in real football.
Yep.
Peyton Manning's going to come available, and you know who's going to be the first and second team that's going to be knocking on the door. It's going to be the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, so he reminds me a lot of the real life Washington Redskins. He's not worried about building a foundation. He thinks we only play a few seasons anyways per year. I'm going to have the most fun I can do. I'm going to maximize what I have. I'm not going to keep what I have. Obviously that goes with it. He's kind of got that gambler mentality where I'm going to fling out my cards. If I don't got good enough cards, I'll wait till I have good enough cards. And if I don't feel like waiting, I'll just throw out a bunch of money and buy more cards. I mean, that's what he thinks. And to his credit, we're not dealing with real money. He's not sitting behind a desk, worrying about finances. Oh, God, can you imagine? I mean, so he's not doing any of that kind of stuff. So he's having fun with the game. He's a pretty sim guy. I mean, I never really had any big issues besides a few blunders here and there, but everyone has them. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I think he reminds me a lot of the Washington Redskins. I mean, Albert Hainsworth was the best player. Now, was he the best player in the free agency and they just wanted to spend some money? I think so. Now, if there was a better, I think they just go after the best available guy that they think they can get. Do I think they don't worry about if it fits their system. Like you said, Peyton Manning, if they get him, they're going to have to teach him a new system. They're not worried, and that's what I think. I think that's what Raz does with the Texans, and to each his own. I say, you got the Giants who won the Super Bowl. They keep their team pretty tight knit, like a knitting community of a bunch of old women, and that works for him. And he goes about his business, and that's fine. Now, I will say really quickly. There's a new 49ers on stock, so I think we should welcome him in. Hopefully he'll listen to the show. Maybe he'll like it. He has a pretty pricey golden standard trade block.
Yeah, and you put it on and you do a double take because you're like, okay.
Does that scare you as a committed long-term owner? That does that?
No. In that aspect, you have this new person coming in that is probably a decent Madden player, and he just knows, like, okay, I got the 49ers. It's not my number one team, and I've played with these guys, and I know what I like and what I don't like, and he's basically going to make the team like he would like it,
Yeah, and I applaud it. I think it'll be fine. Now that's why we have trade, monicators. We got Alex and Kevin, the Steelers owner, to kind of go through trades that are ridiculous. But I have no problem with the guy saying, you know what, here's my best player. Maybe if I wasn't a Lions fan, maybe I would do that with Kelvin Johnson,
Yeah.
Maybe I would do that with Matthew Stafford. But they're my kind of players because those are the guys I watch every Sunday. So I kind of model my Madden style after those guys. But I have no problem with the guy saying, here's a guy. Now, we haven't seen any kind of ridiculous deals or any kind of thing like that. I mean, he's not just giving his players away.
Yeah, so there's no shenanigans going on.
So that's all I care about. And on second note, man, if you're listening to this, welcome to the podcast for sure. And you know how to make a splash. I'll say that. And there's something to be said for that too. I mean, if you put Brennan Davis on your trade block, no matter who you are, if you traded for him in a previous league or whatever, you put him on any kind of trade block, it's going to get attention. So, you know what? You got attention in this league, and you got attention on the podcast week 1. That's pretty good. And he won his game of the week, I will say so. I think we covered a lot of things. We're going to get out on this. Got anything else to say to the people?
No, that should wrap it up. Like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to getting some fresh blood in here and getting some fresh, face and dive into this a little bit more deeper with some new guys.
Some feedback. That's always great. I mean, I even get sick of listening to my own voice. It's that I do this podcast and then I listen to the podcast sometimes for editing purposes and these things. I get sick of hearing my own voice. It was nice to listen to the Jets, and we'll get to that interview this week, and you'll be able to hear it. He's a really good guy. And believe it or not, what was he, a scientist, Docs?
Yeah,
we have a scientist in the league, just like everything. So we have all kinds of people, all walks of people. So finding out new things about him is always new, and finding out new owners is always fun. So we did a little bit of everything this week. Okay, peace out before I lose my voice, and have a good one.